Hello, ActiveSage here on the Sage channel, and this week's Medieval Engineers update has brought forth a ranged weapon, a crossbow to be more exact. You can see it here being held by my character. Now, if we were to go ahead and look at the crossbow, you can see I have it equipped down there at the bottom. You equip it the same way you do any character tool. You go to here, click and drag it down. If you just started a new world, you probably won't have it in your inventory. You'll have to actually add one, and you do that by doing a Shift F10. Again, that's Shift plus F10, and you'll see that at the bottom of this screen you now have two new options. Just like in Space Engineers, you can now spawn stuff in. So we could go ahead, select a crossbow, we can set it to 42, it won't actually spawn 42 in, spawn one in and drop it, and then of course press T to pick it up. And if we were to look in our inventory, you can see now we have two of those. Mind you, if you have none in your inventory but you are in creative mode, you'll still be able to switch to and use the crossbow. But of course, if you switched over to survival mode, it wouldn't be there anymore. The crossbow itself is a pretty simple weapon. You go ahead and pull the trigger, fire. The bolts that it fires does 60 damage per shot. If we were to go ahead and switch over to spectator mode and fly our camera out and fire the weapon, I'm clicking fire. Okay, well, this worked earlier, and there it goes, it fired. It's a little hard to see where it actually goes, and in fact, it seems like its range varies. And unfortunately, if I was to go ahead and let's just fire at a wall right here, the bolts don't actually seem to stay in the world. They don't persist, so it's near impossible to figure out how far this weapon actually goes, especially considering that if I was to go ahead, and I am in creative mode just for the ease of recording, fly up to, let's say, this tower. You can see here I'm aiming straight out of the tower. Let's go ahead and switch to our spectator mode. So there we go. Let's fly out to this distance here. Looks alright. Let's do a F6 to make sure that's all lined up. Switch back and fire. There we go. It seems like it cleared the whole screen, but hold on. Did it vanish there before the very end? Let's go to right here. Let's see if you can still see it there. Making sure that's still lined up and fire. Where'd it go? It seemed like it vanished on the left side of the screen before it made it all the way across. Let's go ahead and fire again. There we go. It seemed like it made it farther, so it's a little hard to tell just how far it's going. Also, it seems like it doesn't really have any drop to it. Now, of course, over relatively short distances, you wouldn't really expect it to have any drop, considering it is a crossbow, and I believe crossbows are actually intended for shorter range fire, but it is a bit odd that you can't actually see any drop, or you can't actually see it carry on even after it starts dropping off and falls to the ground. So let's go ahead and fire it again. There we go. It seems like it went pretty far, didn't it? Let's go ahead, one more shot. Then we're going to go over and actually shoot at some stuff with it. If I can get it to fire again. It seems like it just vanishes about here, which is a pretty decent distance, I guess. I just wish it did have some drop off and fall to it after that point, and just so you could aim at far distant targets and miss 150 million times. Also, so you could recollect the bolts. Please note that if you're going to go ahead and fight in survival mode, you're going to need something like this, a quiver, which is of course added in the same exact way as the crossbow itself, using the Shift plus F10, and going ahead and getting yourself the quiver right there and spawning that in. For this, the number does matter, as it's the number of little bolts that it's going to spawn in, or arrows, or however you want to say it. And you see right there, it has just spawned in 42 of them. Each quiver contains 10 shots, so we've actually spawned in quite a few that we could fire there. And you see at the bottom on my number 3 button, it now shows how many we have. Please note that you can only carry a certain amount of them. If I was to go ahead and let's just hop back down here into the, not the barracks area here, but the armory down here. I should have quite a few stored in these containers. Yeah, there we go, 388. You cannot hold all that many. You can hold about 91. In fact, a few more, I think, if we remove that other thing from our inventory. There we go. But considering that each one of those is 10 shots, that's actually a huge amount of ammo. So let's go ahead now and fly over to a new testing area I have so we can spawn in some NPCs and take a few shots at them to see how that works. So here we are at our little weapons testing area, and I'm going to go ahead and spawn some porters in here, and I believe they should just sit still. And there we go. And I think these guys have as much health as us, which is, I believe, 100 health, and each of these bolts, as I believe I said earlier, will do 60 damage, so we should be able to take these guys out in 2 hits. So one shot, right into him, no flinch, no nothing. Second shot, right, he's down and out for the count, eh? Yeah, unfortunately, if with the crossbow, I'd really love it where if after you fired, boop, you had to press R and hold it to manually reload, and your character would do a nice little animation and put his feet on it, and pull the thing back, and plop another arrow in there. Currently, it just automatically reloads. Let's fire again, see if we can take out Godfrey. Yes, we can. So now we know for sure that we can shoot all the way out to here. Let's go ahead and set up another position and see if we can hit somebody a little farther away. Alrighty, well, since we were having some issues there with not being able to see where we were hitting, and of course once we go into spectator, the aim auto resetting it's up and down, I figured let's go ahead and set this up here. So we got quite a few people lined up here now, so we can actually go ahead and do our test once again. Of course, waiting for the auto reload. One thing we could do is actually, there we go, bye-bye Jamie, I believe it was. Let's go ahead and actually zoom in so we can see our character reload as well as fire, so, pew! And you can see that the string actually goes back. I think it right now it's just a simple model swap and a bit of the animation moving up. There we go. Huh, well that's not a good sign. Oh, maybe we're aiming slightly above him? Is that what's happening here? Let's hope not. We're pretty sure he should be in range, considering we were hitting him earlier. Let's go over here and see if we're actually hitting, shall we? Once again, in spectator mode, it doesn't seem like it actually wants to allow us to fire the weapon. Seems like it doesn't reload while you're in spectator is what it is. So it's just reloaded. Nothing happened. Pull the trigger. Nothing happened. What is going on in this world today? Aiming and fire. Strange. It doesn't seem like it actually wants to fire when we're in spectator. Unfortunate that. I could use my second computer usually, but unfortunately right now it's not an option really, as second computer's not hooked up as my office is being reworked slightly. Let's go ahead and just fire at these guys to see if we can actually hit them. I'd say not, considering Goodwin or Godwin has not perished. So yeah, I'd say that's about the range, is somewhere up to there currently, and after that it apparently just ceases to be. I can't really judge if there is any fall off to it at all, unfortunately. I can take a few more shots. How about that? I'll do that. Okay, I'd say not. I've gone about half a body lengths up and fired 2 shots each time. No signs of hit. So yeah, this thing has pretty limited range. By the way, the devs have said today that if you were going to spawn items in, when you spawn it in, you should go ahead and... Oh dear lord, how many did we spawn in there? Just 42, and that was enough to break the floor? Be cautious of that. The devs have said though that you should probably pick up whatever you spawn in and put it in a chest or in your actual character's inventory before you restart the world or save and restart into survival. I did some tests and I did not see a need for that. Everything I put in here when I restarted the world was still there, like all this stuff sitting about, including when I switched it over to survival. Everything was still there. So I don't know what that's all about. Maybe it's something that's going to show up in your game and not mine. Who knows? Anyways, that's it for this update. Thanks so much for watching. Hope you found this informative and somewhat enjoyable, and I shall see you guys next time. Ta-ta. Oh, by the way, it doesn't damage small grids or large grids or anything like that because it's a bow. You wouldn't expect an arrow to really damage stone or a big wooden beam much.